Hello and welcome to Business Talk, brought to you by the Sharonville Chamber of Commerce. I'm Britt Scarce with Emory Federal Credit Union. I'm your host, and today here in studio we have Pandy Pridemore with eHuman Resource USA, here to talk about bullying in the workplace. Pandy, welcome.
How are you, Britt?
I'm doing great. So this is a serious issue. We've seen a lot of stuff in the news where people do bad things because of bullying. Bullying isn't just for school, right?
No.
And so how do we identify, and handle bullying in the workplace, Pandy?
Well, the crazy part is I think when people talk or use the word bullying, they're instantly going towards a physical activity. Mm-hmm. And bullying is not always physical.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most important things we need to stress on the show today is that what we're going to be talking about are very non-physical behaviors, and they're ongoing. Mm-hmm. These are patterns. These are personality traits or tendencies that are going on. And I bet if every one of us really thought about it, we've all experienced some kind of bullying in the workplace at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not a pretty sight.
Yeah.
And it totally, if you really think about it, ultimately it just totally destroys the culture, if the culture is correct to begin with, mm-hmm. and the morale. And where does that ultimately affect the productivity of the company?
Right. Well, who wants to go to work and be miserable all day? Where you have someone who's just completely, where you cringe every time you're in their presence, or they're just constantly, or perhaps putting you down, or just passive aggressive type stuff, or trying to steal your ideas, and telling the boss, oh, this was my idea, or whatever.
Well, nobody has to anymore, Britt.
Mm-hmm.
The work, there's so many jobs out there and such a shortage of good, talented people. Mm-hmm. No one has to put up with it anymore.
Yeah, they can go somewhere else, and so
Quick.
Companies lose those good people if you let your environment be poisoned by somebody who's going to be a bully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So harassment mm-hmm. and bullying, when we contrast the two, harassment's going to be more towards what we consider Title VII issues. Mm-hmm. Harassment's going to be against their religion or their sex or their age. It's going to be very targeted from that perspective.
Okay.
But bullying can actually be much more mental and more strategic and devious. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about one of the personalities that tends to do that.
Okay.
I call him the critic.
Okay.
The individual in the workplace who constantly has something negative to say. There's never a good idea. That person's never right about anything, or they have no idea why the person's even employed, or what's the owner thinking about. It's just total, complete negativity in just about everything. You sometimes wonder, what in heaven does the person ever say anything nice?
Yeah.
And you hear that over and over. You don't even want to go and work with that individual because
yeah.
none of what is going to happen is, not even a raise, not even an increase is going to be good enough for this person.
Yeah, they'll just complain about everything.
Total from start to finish.
Man.
The critic. Why keep a critic around? And then you've got the individual that all of us call the two-faced individual. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows somebody who plays at both ends.
Oh, yeah.
Plays at both ends. They'll meet you in the cafeteria. They'll be your best friend. They'll la, 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 la. And then as soon as they can whip over to another crowd, boy, their complete opinions change. You're nobody. They don't include you in meetings. They don't include you in projects. How do you deal with that person?
Yeah.
And how is that beneficial to the morale and the collaboration of the team? And I don't know of any company who doesn't need collaboration at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially if you were to confide in that person and then they use that information against you. Like if you confide, something about your job or some project or something, and then they go to the other people and use it against you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, then that kind of goes back to the next personality. How about the attention getter, who absolutely has to have everything focused on them?
Yeah.
They're the ones who will steal your ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
They're the ones.
So they look good.
Oh my gosh! Or they're the ones who it's never their fault, mm-hmm. right?
Because, oh yeah, it wasn't my fault.
My gosh.
It was like that when I got here, and she did that and he did that. Yeah.
Absolutely,
mm-hmm.
and most employers see this behavior. But what they're failing to understand is that they fail to really accept the fact of what the impact is on their other employees.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's great for somebody to be the clown and want everybody to joke around with them and, oh, here he comes, he's walking through the room. But what's he doing while he's walking through the room? And so that, again, you don't want to ignore the attention getter because it works both ways.
Sure.
Then there's the one you never can catch during the interview, and that's the sociopath.
Quiet ones.
Oh my gosh. It'd be so great if you could just tell by the way they roll their eyes, or the way they stay quiet in their cubicle, or how they don't volunteer for anything, they sit over in the corner. But again, what type of a culture do you have in your company?
Yeah.
And are they conniving and scheming to undermine something else going in, or someone else going into the company?
So they're sabotaging things.
Oh, that's a great word.
Yeah.
That's a very good word, whether it's a project or a person. And again, how do you interview that out? You really don't.
No, because they can put their best foot forward for the interview and seem very put together.
And doesn't everybody?
Yeah,
They,
sure.
they show us what they want us to see. I just beg my clients, use that 90-day introductory period. Use that test period to be watching everything.
Do they show their true colors in that 90 days usually?
If you give them the latitude, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes you just sit back and let them think the honeymoon's over.
So what can we do for something like that? It's a personality trait more so than what if they're actually doing their job over? I mean, by all by all outward appearances, like they're checking the boxes and doing their duties.
Yeah.
But they're this other stuff's kind of, like you said, undermining.
They can't resist.
And yeah.
They can't resist. A bully is pretty much a bully,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that here's a good one. The gatekeeper, the keeper of the wealth. I swear there's got to be one of these in almost every company that I work with. It's the person who's so insecure about losing their job, or so insecure because maybe they're the older individual and the younger ones are coming up, and that they don't want to tell anybody anything. And I'm sorry.
I'll keep all the knowledge and
Absolutely.
To myself. I won't share how to actually perform these other tasks and
And they
duties.
talk down. They
You
talk
wouldn't
down.
understand how to do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So how, and
This
that
place could never run without me. That kind of thing.
and I don't want to say, but I find the administrative secretaries or executive assistants, those individuals tend to get really very possessive, very possessive, because they've got the ear of the owner, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't want anybody else to know what's going on because,
That could also be, I know we've talked about this on other shows, but those are the people that don't ever want to take a vacation because it can't run without them. But those we have to watch for stealing and embezzlement and all that because
they think the company's theirs.
Right.
They think the company's theirs, so no one else is nearly as good or should have, be privy to information.
Yeah.
And again, getting back to your point, absolutely there's ways of dealing with this. So what I highly recommend with organizations is, number one, remember this is non-physical. So are they breaking any major laws? They're not breaking any major laws by bullying.
Just being a jerk.
Well said.
And who wants to work with a jerk?
Well, I'll tell you what though. I've got some environments, and again, this is why we kind of started out with the whole framework of what's your culture, right? Some of my trucking companies, some of my more manual labor organizations, this stuff goes on all the time. Yeah. And it's just who they are. It's just where they are, and it clicks. It works. Will it work forever? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Probably
Depends
not.
on until you get a really, really bad person that's really causes a lot of dissension and starts to get other people in trouble,
Or the whole team turns on the person.
Yeah.
When in all actuality, it should have been the business owner who backed up and said, "Okay, this isn't fitting."
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it starts at the top. We've talked about that too. The culture, the standards, the policies all have to start at the top.
Right.
So the business owners need to address this stuff and pull them back.
So do the business owners have to beware of that person turning around and saying that they're the ones being bullied because these people are saying these things about them and saying, "Oh, that's a lie. I don't do that," or whatever.
Well, some stuff is really hard to prove.
Yeah.
Some stuff is really, really hard to prove. And we start by, again, having a policy in the organization of codes of conduct. Okay, this is not acceptable. We are going to treat each other civilly, and we're going to stay focused on our clients' needs or our customers' needs or the mission of the company. Stay focused, because there's no room for gatekeepers, and there's no room for sociopaths when we're focused on our clients and our customers.
Right.
So this is a situation where we have to be cognizant of all times. Our supervisors have to be aware, and there are indicators. There are absolute indicators. If you've got employees that are withdrawing, if there are employees that no longer give ideas, they're not showing up on time, they're not participating in group activities, I mean, a bunch of them all going to lunch, or individuals talking at the water cooler. Those are major indicators. If someone's behavior changes or their performance starts diminishing, that there's something going on, whether it's at home or whether it's at work.
Right.
You need to have your, that talk.
Yeah.
Just to figure out.
Can you have in your employee manual, a no gossip policy?
No gossiping?
No gossip policy. That, I heard a manager tell me one time, say, actually it was a business owner that said, when he had an issue with someone doing that gossiping and causing dissension, and, I guess it could be bullying or mostly just gossip, just talking about other people at the company, pulled him aside and said, hey, I want to apologize. I've done a really bad job of communicating to you that we have a no gossiping, policy at this company. We don't do that here, and and I understand you were talking about such and such, and just want you to know that's not acceptable here, and I take full blame because I've never communicated that to you, that's just not something we do here. Yeah. Is that okay to handle something like that?
May not be.
No.
May not. And let's go back to previous conversations about the National Labor Relations Board.
Yeah.
If those conversations are anywhere focused around work conditions, terms of employment, compensation, we cannot stifle it.
Yeah.
If they're gossiping,
but if they're gossiping, saying that such and such is dating such and such, or they're doing things, which it could be a form of bullying, where they're like making fun of somebody's
entirely different,
personal life,
entirely different.
Yeah.
So we have to be really careful how we phrase that, and I would totally coach a small business person or a business owner to stay focused on performance.
Yeah.
And stay focused on what they were hired to do, and that definitely wasn't what they were hired to do, and it's definitely deterring them from being productive and actually doing their work. Staying at the water cooler too long. Let's get back to work.
Yeah.
Now, be cognizant of what they're talking about, but absolutely. We also have to coach bystanders and help them understand that they have a responsibility if they start seeing bullying, or if, because there's your witness.
Yeah.
If they sense that there's some harassment or bullying going on, we give them full ability to come and speak freely. There's no sense of retaliation.
Yeah.
This is something that the company is asking and inviting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's huge, that they feel comfortable going to management and saying, hey, this isn't right. This is causing a problem, and you're going to lose this good person because of this jerk.
Well, we're going to lose them, or they're going to get so upset and so stressed out that they're going to make a mistake and do something completely unnecessary and inappropriate.
Yeah.
And you sometimes wonder if bullying in the workplace isn't why some of these very horrific things have happened, whether they be physically violent or other unnecessary acts.
We don't want that.
Oh my gosh. So we need to stop it at the beginning.
Right. Well, Pandy, this has been very enlightening, and obviously something that all business owners and managers should be looking out for. So thanks a lot. Our guest has been Pandy Pridemore from the Human Resource USA. You've been watching Business Talk, brought to you by the Sharonville Chamber of Commerce. I'm Britt Scarce, your host. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Business Talk.